Let's pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and legislative assemblies for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Good afternoon.
Point of information, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Ndawa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It's a normal practice when we have visitors in the plenary. We have a demarcation between the house and the strangers. I don't see the demarcation. So, Honorable Speaker, it's only fair enough to have that demarcation in place. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable.
In furtherance, Madam Speaker, it is true what Honorable Rao is raising. Otherwise, they will be cited as strangers, and so they will be moving out.
It's okay. Then can we have that demarcation?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We are now properly seated.
Thank you, Honorable Minority Leader. Thank you very much for that correction. Good afternoon, Honorable members, and our guests, of course. You are welcome to this afternoon sitting. Let's start off the business of the day. Clerk, take us through.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, pronouncements of budget highlights and revenue raising measures for financial year 2024-2025.
Members, before I invite the CCM Finance, Economic Planning, and Revenue Management and ICT, I want to make some communication, and then I invite the minister concerned. Honorable members of the County Assembly, the County Executive Committee member for Finance, Economic Planning, Revenue Management, and ICT, Honorable Onesimus Muyakuyu, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to this afternoon sitting. Section 132, subsection 1 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 provides that each financial year the County Executive Member for Finance shall, with the approval of the County Executive Committee, make a pronouncement of the revenue-raising measures for the county government. Further, Section 132, subsection 2 of the same Act requires that the County Executive Committee member from Finance to submit to the County Assembly County Finance Bill, setting out the revenue-raising measures for the county government, together with a policy statement expounding on those measures on the same date that the revenue-raising measures are pronounced. Standing Order 206A of the County Assembly provides for the procedure of pronouncement of the budget highlights and revenue-raising measures. Honorable members, when the County Executive Committee member for Finance, Economic Planning, Revenue Management, and ICT will be making the budget highlights and revenue-raising pronouncement, he will be heard in silence pursuant to Standing Order number 20, Suborder 3. I want to repeat that particular point. Honorable members, when the County Executive Committee member for Finance, Economic Planning, Revenue Management, and ICT will be making the budget highlights and revenue-raising pronouncement, he will be heard in silence pursuant to that standing order. That is Standing Order number 206A, Suborder 3. I hope that is clear. I now take this opportunity to invite the County Executive Committee member for Finance, Economic Planning, Revenue Management, and ICT, Honorable Onesmus Muyakuyu, to pronounce the budget highlights and revenue-raising measures for the financial year 2024-2025. Thank you, honorable members. Honorable Kuyu, it's your turn to make your pronouncement.
Madam Speaker, it's once again an honor and privilege for me to stand before this House to make the public pronouncement of the second budget policy highlights and revenue-raising measures for the county government. I do this in fulfillment of my fiduciary responsibility as the guardian of the county finances and in fulfillment of the requirements of Section 130 and Section 132 of the PFM Act 2012. Madam Speaker, I express my sincere gratitude to the County Executive Committee under the leadership and guidance of Her Excellency Honorable Wavinyandeti, EBS, for their significant effort in preparing and submitting the financial year 2024-2025 budget estimates to the County Assembly. On the same line, I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Budget and Appropriation Committee for the active and constructive participation during the review of the budget estimates given to the County Assembly on April 30th, 2024. Madam Speaker, I express my gratitude to the County Assembly for their ongoing and significant involvement in fostering a culture of mutual trust and good faith, which supports the executive in carrying out its duty. In fact, the county administration has achieved a great deal of milestones thanks to this cooperation and teamwork. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, please allow me to offer sincere appreciation to all the stakeholders whose contribution inspired the priorities of this budget. These stakeholders included members of the various county government departments, house committees, development partners, national government agencies, the private sector, and the county residents who participated in public forums and made written responses. The economic development and outlook. Madam Speaker, the world is a global village. Thus, our budgeting process has taken into consideration the global economic situation, where global growth, estimated at 3.2% in 2023, is projected to continue at the same pace in 2024 and 2025. The pace of the expansion is low, owing to the challenges arising from a volatile macroeconomic environment. These challenges include, but are not limited to, global supply chain disruptions due to the ongoing conflicts in Eastern Europe and the Israel-Palestinian war, the high interest rates, limiting access to credit and excavating debt servicing costs, significant losses and damages of goods and life due to frequent extreme weather conditions, and high commodity prices such as oil on account of increased geopolitical fragmentation and global oil supply cuts. The fall in public debt slowed compared to the 2021 as it fell to 3.6% points of GDP to 92% of GDP in 2022. Madam Speaker, despite the challenging global environment, the Kenyan economy is demonstrating resilience with growth performance well above the global average. The national GDP grew to 5.6% in 2023 and is projected to grow to 6% in 2024, driven by services and household consumption. Inflation rose to 8.6% in 2023 and is projected to drop to 5.9% in 2024, driven by food and energy inflation. Monetary policy is expected to remain tight. Madam Speaker, Machakos County, with a nominal gross county product, GCP, of 3 Kenya shillings, 378.4 billion, was among the first 6 counties which had contributed greatly to the national GDP, with a GCP above Kenya shillings 350 billion at current prices in 2022. The GCP is useful in assessing regional county disparities. Further, the GCP shows how each economic activity stroke sector contributes to the economy of each county and their evolution over time. The GCP growth rate has been positive since the advent of devolution. The county experienced GCP growth rate of 8.16% in 2022. The recovery of the key agricultural sector following improved weather conditions drove 2023 growth, with tourism also contributing to a stronger showing. While climate change is recognized as a major threat to Kenya's growth profile, global effort to address climate change, especially reducing greenhouse gas emissions, also offer positive opportunities for the Kenyan economy. Madam Speaker, Her Excellency the Governor has on several occasions set out an ambitious socio-economic development agenda that speaks to the county we aspire. That is one which is a model of excellency with quality of life to all citizens in a clean and a secure environment. This agenda remains well anchored in the CIDP 2023-2027, which lays out key initiatives that will put Machakos on a bold new path of rapid, balanced, and shared economic growth, job creation at an unprecedented pace, and reduced poverty on a sustained basis. Madam Speaker, the budget estimate for the financial year 2024-2025 lays a strong foundation for achieving Her Excellency the Governor blueprint, while at the same time addressing the following challenges facing counties and devolution at large. Challenge number 1, the need to be efficient and effective in delivery of service to our people. Challenge number 2, the need to be prudent and accountable and transparent in our spending and use of public funds. Challenge number 3, the need to create an enabling environment for business and in particular for the MSMEs in order to accelerate the growth of our county economic and create more jobs for our youth. Challenge number 4, the need to grow our own source of revenue to fund more priority projects and programs. Madam Speaker, the budget I'm presenting today is therefore anchored on the premise that the next phase of our development agenda is to empower the great people of Machakos by improving their living standards, creating employment opportunities for women and the youth, promoting unity of purpose, and promoting equitable and balanced development across every village in the county. The budget that I'm presenting today is intended to usher in a new thinking and vision for building our county. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the theme for this year's budget is consolidating economic gains to enhance sustainable growth through socio-economic empowerment and infrastructure development. Revenue collection. Madam Speaker, in the last 2 financial years, that is 2022-2023 financial year, 2023-2024, which is the current financial year, there has been an upward trajectory in revenue collection, with several infrastructural investment and a couple of strategies and tactics. We have thus budgeted for 3.3 billion in this financial year. That's a revenue. The administration invested in the county revenue mapping report in 2023, which showed that Machakos County has the potential to collect approximately 6.8 billion annually in its own source revenue. This was supported by a recent Commission of Revenue Authority report. However, there are serious investment that need to be made for the projected revenue to be realized. The county, through the guidance of Her Excellency the Governor, prepared development plans and budget documents which are being subjected to rigorous consultative and participatory processes. This was achieved through public participation across all the 40 wards, involvement of special interest groups, state and non-state actors, development partners, national government departments, as well as other agencies in collaboration with our technical teams in finance and economic planning. Indeed, the county, through the guidance of Her Excellency the Governor, was rated number 2 in the country on public participation, and number 4 on the budget transparency by the International Budget Partnership, IBP Kenya. County Budget Transparency Survey 2023, released on 24th May 2024. Her Excellency the Governor takes this opportunity to thank all the actors who made this possible. It is indeed a big honor to the people of Machakos. Focusing on the future and placing our eyes on the ball, the fiscal projection for the financial year 2024-2025. Madam Speaker, I would like to present the fiscal projection for the financial year 2024-2025. Kenya Vision 2030, Medium Term Plan 4, Bottom-up Economic Transformation Agenda, that's a better, and the national government announcements of the financial year 2024-2025 budget have all been incorporated into the county's budgetary framework. Madam Speaker, the total revenue estimate for the fiscal year 2024-2025 is Kenya shillings 14.2 billion, which consists of, number 1, equitable share, 9.914 billion, and conditional grants, 1.7 million, conditional grants, 1 billion, on-source revenue, 2.7 billion, healthy revenues, 600 million. Expenditure priorities for the financial year 2024-2025 budget estimates. That is emanating from the resource envelope that I've just read. This budget, Madam Speaker, is anchored on the CIDP 2023-2027 and the ADP 2024-2025 that are being aligned to the national development plans. Through this budget, the county government will undertake the following specific programs under the identified strategic intervention areas. Program number 1, promote food security. Program number 2, promoting access to clean water and environmental protection. Program number 3, promoting access to quality health care. Program number 4, enhancing access to quality education. Program number 5, enhancing infrastructure development. Program number 6, enhancing youth and women empowerment, PWDs and the vulnerables. Program number 7, promoting conducive business environment. Program number 8, promoting tourism and preserving the rich culture of the county. Program number 9, promoting sustainable land use and urban development. Program number 10, enhancing on-source revenue. Madam Speaker, I will now expound on those points as follows. I'll start with the program number 1 with its own interventions, promoting food security. In order to achieve universal food security, the government has put in place several initiatives into action. Some of these initiatives are, number 1, provision of affordable agricultural inputs, Intervention number 2, initiating and supporting community-based agricultural initiatives through cooperatives. Intervention number 3, supporting agribusiness by sourcing for markets and value addition. Intervention number 4, organizing training forums for farmers. Intervention number 5, establishing networks with research institutions. Intervention number 6, provision of extension services to farmers. Madam Speaker, to support these initiatives, I propose an allocation of 510 million for the development on relevant programs in this budget. Out of this, 151 million is for National Agricultural Value Chain Development Projects, now CDP, and 104 million for Emergency Locust Response Program, and 77.7 million for crop development and management. Madam Speaker, to improve livestock production in the county, I propose Kenya shillings 16.9 million for livestock development and in the purchase of certified pasture seeds and breeding stock. To enhance veterinary services, I have proposed an allocation of 30.8 million for construction and rehabilitation of slaughterhouses, purchase of motorcycles to enhance ward-based farm extension services, vaccines and artificial insemination services. Madam Speaker, the government recognizes that the blue economy presents significant opportunities. To nurture this sector, we have set aside Kenya shillings 51 million, out of which 32 million will be allocated to purchase breeding stock, including fingerlings and other related activities. I propose to allocate 17.8 million to enhance the operationalization of an agricultural training center, ATC. Madam Speaker, under cooperative development, I propose an allocation of that 5 million for the procurement of modern beehives, 19 million for the purchase of certified seeds and seedlings for coffee and cotton, equipment and marketing promotion and agro-processing. Promoting access to clean water and environmental protection. Madam Speaker, clean water is necessary for human survival, socioeconomic growth, and health ecosystems. It is essential to sustainable development. Clean water is critical for lowering the illness load while also enhancing citizens' health, welfare, and productivity. It is crucial to climate change adaptation, acting as a vital link between the climate change system, human society, and the environment. In this regard, Her Excellency the Governor has allocated Kenya shillings 605 million to water resource management, irrigation, sewerage system, and sanitation management, environment and natural resources, as well as climate change interventions. Madam Speaker, given that Machakos County currently has a shortage of renewable freshwater resources, ensuring that everyone has access to clean water, safe water is essential for both national health and food security. Out of 605 million, I propose 253 million for water resources management. This will enhance borehole drilling, reticulation, provision of water, desilting, and the construction of dams, water pans, irrigation, weirs, and purchase of appropriate hydrological systems. Madam Speaker, I propose Kenya shillings 58 million for the management of sewerage systems and sanitation. Madam Speaker, the county needs to safeguard the environment and adjust to the consequences of climate change in order to achieve its goals. I propose an allocation of 19.4 million for environment and natural resources and Kenya shillings 265 million for climate change mitigation measures. Climate change mitigation measures also includes the dams and all that. So this is over and above. Enhancing access to quality health care. Madam Speaker, we believe that the well-being of the people who live and work in our county is directly correlated with the productivity and consequently with the county's economic prosperity. For this reason, the government proposes the allocation of Kenya shillings 523 million for health sector programs. This will be channeled in the programs such as completion of community health facilities, upgrading of health facilities, phase 2 of phased health projects, equipping and maintenance of medical equipment. Enhancing access to quality education. Madam Speaker, education continues to play a crucial role in the advancement of the society. The county government has made significant investments in early childhood development institutions, ECDs. To facilitate this, the budget envisages the construction of model care centers at a cost of 24.5 million and new modern ECD classrooms at a cost of 31 million. Madam Speaker, there are 40 vocational training centers in Machakos County that provide our students with technical training possibilities. We have set aside that 1 million for capitation of youth polytechnics. Promoting infrastructure development. Madam Speaker, following the recent heavy torrents that wreaked havoc across the country, most roads are in dire need of rehabilitation. It is on this basis that a total of 1.0 billion has been proposed to support the rehabilitation of these roads and accommodate seamless, as well as accommodating seamless progression of phase 2 of tarmacking of major roads. This covers programs such as 834 million for roads development and maintenance, 69 million for the construction of county buildings, and 79 million for refined fuel and lubricants to support on-road construction capacity, and a rapid resort initiative program. To encourage integrated growth in municipalities and urban centers, the county government will allocate 63 million in phased spatial planning and digitization. To promote security and 24-hour economy by opening up markets areas for development, I propose an allocation of 28 million for county electrification, which will be achieved through solarization, street and flood lighting, and 20 million for installation of transformers on a 50-50% co-shared scheme with REREC, that is Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation. That's a total project injection of 40 million. Madam Speaker, we aim to conduct urban regeneration and infrastructural development in the Machakos, Mavoko, and Kangundo Tala municipalities at a cost of 49 million. Empowering the youth, women, people living with disabilities, and the vulnerables. So people living with disabilities, these are people who are enabled differently. Madam Speaker, as a government, we put in place a number of policies aimed at the execution of focused interventions. These interventions are aimed at safeguarding the most vulnerable members of our society. In this regard, I propose the bursary allocation of 120 million. This is in addition to that 1 million that has been set aside for capitation in youth polytechnics. Madam Speaker, we have marginalized groups that include the homeless, victims of gender-based violence, and drug addicts. The government proposes to allocate the following. 1, construction of children rescue centers, stroke home of the elderly, Kenya shillings 40 million. Empowerment of the vulnerables and marginalized under different programs, 30 million. Provision of assistive devices, that is educational aids and related equipment, 4.5 million. Equity and table banking funds, consolidative a figure of 65 million. We urge the honorable members of this House to fast track the regulations to operationalize these programs. Enhancing conducive business environment. Madam Speaker, the county government is unwavering in its belief that a number of tactics must be put in place to foster a welcoming atmosphere that is advantageous for conducting business. These tactics aim to provide ease in relation to payment of business licenses and rates, construction approval permits, starting a business, and waiving of or exempting fees and charges based on a cost-benefit analysis. Madam Speaker, the government is focusing on boosting medium, small, and micro enterprise by constructing and maintaining market sheds, roadside sheds, modern kiosks, border sheds, and modern bus station. I propose to set aside 91 million for this purpose. promotion and preservation of the rich culture of the county. Madam Speaker, to create opportunities for the youth and nurture talents, I propose 170 million for rekindling stored stadia, developing new stadia, and for sporting activities. The government is purposeful in promoting the county's rich cultural heritage, while also creating job opportunities through tourism promotion. For armed with this knowledge, active efforts are being made to promote the county as a preferred tourism destination, expand the film industry, and nurture talent. I propose an allocation of 39 million toward this noble cause. Revenue-raising measures. Madam Speaker, in order to promote services and promote economic growth, county governments continue to be unduly dependent on transfers from the national treasury. The county has huge potential for on-source revenue collection, which needs to be tapped to support development agenda as contained in CIDP 2023-2027, and subsequent priorities set out in requisite financial years annual development plans. Since Her Excellency the Governor took over, there has been marked improvements of the revenue. The real revenue potential, as scientifically established by Commission of Revenue Allocation and an earlier commissioned revenue mapping exercise, places the county at an annual average of 6.8 billion at 100% optimum collection, with the infrastructural investments that I've said it's a journey. However, this is a journey that requires considerable infrastructural and recurrent facilitation over a period of time. Madam Speaker, the increase of on-source revenue source, careful planning, cautious financial management, and adherence to corporate governance norms are all critical components of any government success. In order to achieve the targeted on-source revenue of 3.3 billion, the current leadership is making an effort to implement the necessary strategic and tactical intervention. Madam Speaker, in order to minimize human interference, stop leaks, and fully use revenue operations, this budget calls for increased automation of revenue collection. As we embrace a cashless revenue collecting method, this will help improve reporting and collection accountability. The county is also on last leg of health revenue automation, which targets current level 3s and level 2s. Madam Speaker, in order to achieve our targeted on-source revenue sources, the government acknowledges the critical role that target setting plays as a performance control instrument. That being said, we will continue to implement the current performance contracts and conduct regular performance assessments, especially with the revenue collecting staff, whose recent posting was scientific and pegged on all revenue assets across the county and working under one government approach. All the revenue-facing departments have reviewed their staff establishment to conform to the revenue-raising needs, e.g., Minister of Lands, Finance, that is under Revenue, Trade, Inspectorate, and Agriculture. There is an ongoing review on mobility and other forms of facilitation. Madam Speaker, billing and ownership of the various revenue streams have now been housed in their respective department. This allows the revenue department to focus on cashless revenue collection. The county treasury will account for the collected revenue and is the custody of all accountable documents. This is in line with the provision of Section 158, subsection 1 and 2 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012. Madam Speaker, the Finance Bill includes provision for the enforcement of revenue collection, and fines and hefty penalties will be imposed in compliance with the law. So I also urge the honorable members to fast track the Finance Bill. That's the instrument that will give us the power to effect these fines. Madam Speaker, by enhancing the skills of our revenue collection, employees via training, we hope to increase revenue collection efficiency. Her Excellency the Governor directed that all revenue and inspectorate officers must be on official uniform with clear identification cards. This has been complied to, and the results are evident. Thus, no more confusions and impersonations as witnessed in the last decade. Madam Speaker, proper equipping and upgrading of health facilities will provide a one-stop shop for the provision of health services that will boost revenue from health-related activities. Madam Speaker, to enhance the efficiency of county corporations, the government is in the process of restructuring and re-engineering the county corporation operations and realizing requisite net revenues to supplement the other revenue streams, and also to prevent the revenue bleeding. Implementation of phase 2 of the county spatial plan, where we anticipate to digitize all the land records and move all the county land approval transactions from manual to online. Robust implementation of the already complete valuation role, which has given grant-rated land values across the county. And this will assist us net revenues from identified over 2 million land parcels are from the only 55,000 existing in government records. The ongoing waiver of penalties and interest on land rates, all standing plot rent dues and total waiver of land registration fees, and regularization of building approvals and occupation certificate is also aimed at boosting the compliance of the regulations in the land sector as well as revenue. Madam Speaker, the ongoing tenure regularization of the land ownership in Athi River and a Kenya Informal Settlement Improvement Plan 2, KISIP 2, is expected to legalize and formalize over 2,000 title deeds, which will make it easy for the private land developers to pay rates, building approvals as they develop their lands. To ensure that all county houses are occupied by currently serving county staff and placed on check-off system. Madam Speaker, I'm sure we are aware that this has been a challenge. So it is now incumbent upon us to ensure that these houses are occupied by the current serving members, will not chase the payments, will do check-off, will collect the rent at source. The county government is partnering with the State Department of Housing to develop a further 2,100 units in Machakos and a further 1,200 units in Athi River, which will increase the resource envelope. These houses will also be placed under the county and the revenue will be shared. So that's an additional 3,300 units. Under various large land ownership schemes, e.g. estates, housing companies, SACCOs, individual plot owners are now allowed to acquire development control approval documents from the county, provided they are able to supply the relevant departments with the mother titles of the scheme. Sale agreement, subdivision scheme, the survey plan, and other incidental documents. Therefore, we urge our residents of Mavoko, Machakos, and Matungulu to take advantage, formalize and acquire building approvals and occupancy certificate. This has been a very big challenge. The government has formed and gazetted Machakos County Liquor Control and Licensing Committee, which has continually and proactively issued guidelines, monitored progress, and offered approvals for liquor licensing. We also have developed liquor license officers we have also deployed legal licensing officers to do licensing and compliance at sub-county levels. The county government has embarked on securing and fencing of livestock selling yards. So far, we have fenced 3 main markets of Kithioko, Kathiani, and Mitaboni. They have entry and exit points for proper revenue management and enforcement. Additionally, we have constructed new slaughterhouses in Kimutwa and Mutituni, and we are currently renovating at the River Slaughterhouse. There is a dedicated revenue officer assigned to every public and private slaughterhouse. The Department of Roads, through Her Excellency the Governor, has moved strongly to operationalize bus parks, designation of on-street parking, off-street parking, reserved parking, and loading zones, all to be paid. In order to bring sanity and equality and streamline the public service vehicle sector, the Department of Roads is working on a platform and a system which will enable payment of PSV through their constituent SACCOs. This will further ensure the loopholes are closed. Madam Speaker, continuous monitoring and evaluation will be carried out to determine whether the anticipated outcomes are being attained, pinpoint implementation bottlenecks, and draw attention to an unanticipated repercussion of tax administration. Madam Speaker, the current administration has been deliberate about the judicious implementation of priority programs. We shall strive to respect the same and ensure the county resources are used with transparency and accountability as required by Chapter 12, Section 2(1) of the Kenyan Constitution 2010. To conclude, Madam Speaker, we commit to complete all the viable projects to ensure there is value for public money. It is also good to note that some of these projects require huge investments and may take some time to complete. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank Her Excellency the Governor for her guidance and unwavering support during the budgeting period. I also extend my appreciation to my colleagues in the cabinet for their support and understanding. Special thanks to the chief officers for their hard work. I would also like to thank the entire finance, economic planning, revenue management, and ICT for the good work they are doing in executing their relevant roles. Madam Speaker, I sincerely thank the House leadership for the exceptional working relationship during the formulation and legislative approval process. Committee members of the Budget and Appropriation Committee, the Budget Committee technical teams feel appreciated. I am grateful to all members of the County Assembly representing the various departmental committees for their profitable engagements. Finally, Madam Speaker, it is my pleasure to submit this 12th pronouncement of the budget highlights and revenue-raising measures, and trust that we will all work together in its implementation. Let's all consolidate the economic gains to enhance sustainable growth through socio-economic empowerment and infrastructural development. Thank you. May the God bless you.
Thank you very much, CCM Finance. And that was very comprehensive, and I believe the House has taken note, and we shall be able to move forward. Our standing orders do not require that we debate, we do anything, we just do it in silence. So at this point, I wish just to adjourn this House, but want just to say thank you, CCM and your team, for coming and making the present to having a good and harmonious cooperation going forward with you, the executive. So thank you very much, and thank you, members, for really listening and adhering to the directives, adhering to our laws. Thank you so much, everybody who has come to this place. Honorable Brian Kisila, why are you harakisharing me? You're already bored. So at this point, the House adjourns to Tuesday, 25th June, 2024 at 10 a.m. in the morning. See you, members, then. Thank you.